Hello, Billy Reeves here, and you're very welcome to the Kscope podcast number 190. Richard Barbieri, the synthesist of Japan Porcupine Tree and so forth, has a new album out, Hauntings. It's out right now, his first since 2021. A Lovecraftian sound space somewhere between nostalgia and futurism. It's been supported by playback sessions and Q&As in Soho, Kingston, West London and the Liverpool Philharmonic Music Room. So time to catch up with Mr. Barbieri. I'll let him tell you where we were.
We're at the Kscope offices, and the good thing is it's warm, because I'm feeling like I've got the chills today. I can see my album on the
literally on the 1210, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that was deliberate because they knew you were coming in. I bet it was.
Yeah, it probably was.
Is it a liberating or a lonely experience making a solo album?
In this case, it was liberating. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I like my own company anyway. I'm quite fine, I enjoy being on my own. I don't always crave company. I like to see friends, but and liberating in the sense that I'd spent 2 years trying to start an album without any luck at all. In those cases, it's best not to push it really. It just happens when it happens, and then it might just be a combination of a few sounds, an idea, a concept. It suddenly comes together, and then it's like all systems go, and then like within 2-3 months it's done.
Who's in charge when you're recording a solo album? Right brain, left brain, the record company?
Oh, that's very good. Well, I try
gas board.
I try to make it as unconscious as possible.
Oh, right, okay.
That seems to be when things happen naturally, especially with the kind of influences on this album, such as kind of recurring dreams, memories, nostalgia for memories, nostalgia for things that didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
With thoughts about a future as well.
Yes, I believe it's called Anemoyo.
It's a recently invented name.
Oh, right.
Yet it's become part of our language. If you look at Wikipedia, it's there.
Right.
And there's a great book, and I think it's called The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows.
Right.
And as a guy who's just made up words for things that previously didn't have descriptions.
Right.
Or satisfactory ones. And Anemoyo is a nostalgia for an event or an era that you didn't actually experience. I relate to that in a number of ways. I mean, I get nostalgic about hearing Penny Lane. I don't know why. I mean, I wouldn't have known when it came out at the time, and I don't know where the place is, but there's just something about it. Yeah. And you get this looking at old films and all kinds of things.
The Beatles really tapped into that, didn't they? Because of that sort of 60s obsession with Victoriana.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, and the Kinks as well.
Okay, there's a big Victorian influence on my album.
Yeah, is the nostalgia for something that hasn't happened? It feels as though it's set in fond siècle Paris, where you're off down to see Eric Satie down the Black Cat and have an absinthe.
Things that haven't happened. Yeah, I tried to create sound worlds. I do have these recurring dreams where I go back to what is mostly Victorian times, and especially on the track 1890, which is just a sound design piece, really. I don't think there's anything musical within it, and it's trying to recreate this feeling of this place that I go back to, which is down by the Thames somewhere, near the Houses of Parliament. And what kicked off that track was I got a sample of the very first chimes of Big Ben from 1890.
Wow, okay.
And a radio broadcast. And I started to then sample other kind of broadcasts from that era, and I had a great recording of a thunderstorm with heavy rain. Started putting these things together, and the picture started emerging, and
Because it was quite a significant year. It was the first tube train opened.
Oh, was it?
In London.
Okay.
And also Tim Freeze-Green's great-great-grandfather patented celluloid, so it's the beginning of the kind of modern film era. But it's late Victoriana, but very modern France, isn't it?
Yes, and I suppose 1890, because that's the woman doing the announcement actually says the date. And and I think that was recorded, the Big Ben chimes was recorded on like wax cylinder or something.
striking 10:30, 10:45, and 11 o'clock. July 16, 1890.
If I could put you in a time machine, where would you go?
Have to go into the future. I think so. I mean, as much as the nostalgia of the past kind of draws you in, you kind of know a bit about it already, and it certainly wouldn't be as comfortable as you as you would imagine. It'd be treacherous.
Well, it would be one of my favourite opening passages to a history book is Andrew Marr, the BBC correspondent, talking about the sort of myths of Britain, of London during the Blitz. And he says that if you got on the very first page, he said if you got on a tube train in 1940, right, everything would stink. You know, no one would have had a bath for a month. Yes. And everybody would have been smoking fags, I guess.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. No, I mean, the future fascinates me. It could go so many ways. But I think really in probably 30 or 40 years, I think we're going to be living in a world that we don't understand because it would have moved on to such a degree. How that's all going to settle itself is another thing.
Well, a lot of it will be underwater, won't it?
quite possibly.
Yeah.
But I mean, the next 5 to 10 years, AI could be used really well, you know.
Yeah.
It could be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It's whoever it's in the hands of, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a track on the album called Artificial Obsession,
Yeah.
which kind of is a kind of broken down old house.
Right.
And inside is a AI girlfriend from 2030
Right.
who's totally defunct and for some reason has not been sort of destroyed or anything.
Right.
And she's just wandering around this house reciting these love platitudes.
Right.
And that was quite interesting because I got this sample from this girl that I know, and what started off as a really sweet love poem, once I started affecting the voice and slowing it down, it turned into something quite sinister. because I got the crux of it within quite a minimal set of sounds, I didn't need to elaborate too much.
Yeah.
I didn't need to start thinking about the musicality of it. Maybe we should have this pattern coming in, or turn this into a chorus or some kind of... there wasn't any musical theory behind it. It was really just finding this combination of things that exactly encapsulated it for me.
Tell us about the people who played on it.
Well, the people I've worked with before, with the exception of Morgan Agren, he is a Swedish drummer, I guess with a jazz background. He's played with various people like Magma and Devin Townsend, even Frank Zappa when he was a child.
Crikey.
He's a...
Blimey.
He's technically quite amazing.
Yeah.
There's also an amazing video of him with Frederick Fordendahl from Sugar.
Right. Oh, crikey.
Yeah, but looking at his Facebook over the last couple of years, I noticed that he did a lot of nice kind of things that had a real electronic sensibility about them, and that I could tell that he quite liked electronic music as well. So he's very varied, and I had this kind of what you'd call maybe mild drum and bass rhythms, contemporary kind of style rhythms, and I just thought it'd be so much better if somebody played this.
Yeah.
There's one called Perfect Toys, which it's about that kind of thing where nightfall starts, and and all these old kind of Victorian toys that are in the child's room, and they suddenly one starts to whir a bit, and another one starts creaking, and they kind of come into life.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to get. And I used Morgan to do percussion in that as well, mixed with all these kind of little musical boxes and springs.
It's very playful.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was this little voice that came in, and that took ages to get the right voice. And in the end, I just put things through AI and just said, what will you come up with? And in the end, it had this voice that sounded like a cross between Stevie Nicks and Courtney Love.
It does a bit, I get that. It does a bit.
And it just seemed to work because it was so deadpan.
Yeah, it really does.
And that's what I went with.
AI being used as a tool.
Yeah, exactly.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again when people are feared of these things, is that synthesizers and guitars are machines.
Yes.
It's just whatever they're in the hands.
Of course.
Persons they're in the hands of.
Yeah, I mean, the outcry when sampling was first used.
Yeah.
Tale.
where do you blur the lines between soundscapes and virtuosity?
Well, I don't have any virtuosity. I've never had. When I have to play somebody else's parts, I really struggle, and it doesn't feel natural to me. And that's where my lack of technique, is apparent. On my own, I might do something that might be a little bit technical, but to me, it's natural. And obviously, it's easy to play your own parts. You wrote that part, so you wrote that pattern. So,
if you did understand about technique, would that let light into magic?
As much as I would love to have musical theory and have lots of jams with bands in different genres and be able to play this kind of, all these lovely riffs and stuff, I think it would be counterproductive to me. I know it doesn't seem right to say that, but for me, what I have is because of my lack of those things.
Does that therefore make it difficult to communicate with musicians? Because that kind of theory, the dots, keys and so forth, is a kind of language that you communicate with other people with. So how do you get around that?
I think throughout, even from quite an early age, I think I've always been good at articulating musically what I want, or what somebody else, interpreting what somebody else wants. I've done a few production things, and I've worked with other artists in the studio, obviously. So I think I'm quite good at that. Maybe where it would break down a bit in studios is when, like, the engineer or the producer doesn't really understand what I'm about. But luckily, I've always had someone in the band that I've been in who has very much understood what I was about and knew exactly what I was talking about. In that case, David Sylvian and Stephen Wilson.
Of course, yeah.
They both have this love of electronic music, but also they understood what I was doing. For example, Mick Karn didn't understand what I was doing. He didn't, he said, "You're just playing some, you're not playing an instrument, it's a bit of equipment." I think what works is, especially in Porcupine Tree, is the amazing musicality of Gavin on one side and probably the non-musicality of me on the other.
Fair.
Stephen is the one who can craft everything.
The lukewarm water.
No, not really.
Tell us about what happened with Porcupine Tree then. It would be twee not to mention it because it's kept you busy.
Quite early on, Gavin and Stephen were writing together.
Jamming
Together, exactly. That's how they do it. I got involved at a later stage during that time, but even then, all the time, I was always sending Stephen music. At one point, he said, "I love it, Richard, but you should just put it on your solo album."
Okay.
And at that point, I thought, well, then obviously the group's not going to be happening, which was fine. And just carried on, but still sent him stuff, and we'd see each other every so often, or just text each other if we'd heard something good or we wanted. So it was that kind of thing.
Was it was going out playing? Doing a new album and going out to play. Was that an entertaining, innovating experience?
It was because we'd made an album we were really happy with, and it kind of cleared away the problem of the incident for me. I didn't want that to be a last album. And also the touring, that kind of put everything right for me because I didn't want those last tours to be the last thing that we did. And the touring got too intense and it didn't. I didn't really take well to it. I don't think I was a very nice person to be around on that tour. I think, we were in each other's pockets all the time. It was horrible. And so to do that tour and in such a nice atmosphere and to kind of rekindle the friendship with Gavin and Stephen was very important to me. And it all just went like a dream.
Musicians have seized the means of production in a way and therefore are looking at perhaps smaller, more loyal audiences. But by the same token, there's a lot more musicians about. has that been an interesting... Because you've obviously always had... Wilson has to a certain degree as well, have always had that DIY ethos. What's it like now, music? What is the music industry like now compared with when you were 14?
I mean, in those days, for all the times that record labels would rip you off, would make you sign these awful contracts, and the whole corruption of the industry, at least at that time, they invested money, even though you were going to have to pay it all back.
Yeah.
But they invested money to the degree that you could go on tour, you could have a high profile. They would get a press officer in who would just bribe people to get you articles, take people out to lunch. It was all, it was a lot of money spent. And although it would take you probably 20 years to clear your debt, it did put those acts in front of the general public, whereby they could then carry on and have a profile. Nowadays, of course, people won't spend anything, and artists don't have to spend too much making their albums either. But as you say, there's still a big gap between the kind of massive artists who are still working in that whole major label sort of area.
Yeah, perhaps the gap is wider. That's like the Premier League and the League One.
Yes, yes, of course.
I think it's a valid point, because I think perhaps when you and I were younger, pop music was higher up the agenda, that it was considered high art, especially in Britain, where it is considered a part of art rather than part of show business, thanks to the Beatles. Yeah. Perhaps now it's been cheapened by stuff being given away and streaming, perhaps. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, today's modern listener has a different experience with it, don't they? So they're not as much into listening to an album. They don't have the time. So in a way, everything gets condensed. There are still great artists out there, you know. There always will be. It's just that they'll promote their stuff through very kind of short TikTok videos or whatever, you know.
It's the modern version of the single, though, perhaps.
Yes, of course.
The singles are always
It
a big
is.
thing.
It is. And I think Stephen said it before, a single now doesn't bear any resemblance to a song or a song structure that we were working with for decades, which is interesting in itself.
Yeah, I think so.
You know,
what would you consider in this modern world? What would you consider to be success with this album?
I guess it would be nice. Be nice to sell over 10,000 copies.
Okay, it's good to put a number on it.
That would be nice. It would be lovely if any of the music got taken up for use in TV or film.
Sync.
Exactly. That would be lovely. I was going to ask Johnny to try and put it up for a nomination of a few things here and there.
Validation, agreed, I'm sure he'll do that.
The album's released in surround.
Right,
this time, first time for me.
All right, who done that? I didn't know that.
A friend of mine called Steve D'Agostino.
All right, okay.
I didn't go to Stephen because I wanted, making a solo album. You just tried to get everything away from...
Fair.
And, he's worked on surround with David Sylvian. He's worked with Mick, Karn and Steve Jansen.
All right.
He mainly works with John Fox.
Oh, right, okay. Enough said.
And he's a friend of mine, and he kind of guided me gently through the process.
How did he do that?
Just for reassuring me, explaining that what was happening and don't worry about this, don't worry about this.
What did you have to give him? Did you have to give him all the stems?
Yeah.
Absolutely, everything.
Yeah.
And then he decided which was coming over your head and which was
kind
coming
of,
behind.
and I think to ease me into it, what he did was he made a binaural mix for me that I could listen to in headphones.
Right.
So it's
gives you
not stereo and it's not completely surround, but it's
gives you the
good
same
example.
sense of things jumping around. Yeah.
So he said this will give you a sense of what it's going to sound like.
Wow, bloody hell!
So if there's any shocks or anything And I thought, wow, it was the nicest listening experience for me.
I was going to say, because sometimes it's healthy to kind of bringing the conversation full circle about who's in charge. Sometimes it's a good idea to kind of hand it over.
Yes, especially at that stage.
Yeah.
You know, things like mastering and
all the nerd stuff. What about the gear you used on this album?
I quite like to work with new things that I'm not so familiar with.
Yeah.
It makes it more enjoyable for me. One was called a Solar 42,
right?
Which it's hard to describe. It's called an ambient drone machine, but it's much more than that. It has something like 24 voices,
right,
or oscillators, if you like. You can create very odd things. It's like a living, breathing thing. It has pickups, so it can take in sounds from the environment. It also reacts to light.
Fuck. Obviously.
It's something all out there on its own. So I used a lot of that for the kind of the backing, but the main chords are from this thing called the Nonlinear Lab C15.
Right.
Which again is a different way of working with synthesizers for me. It has a very complex signal path, but it just starts with 2 sine waves.
Right.
Everything comes from those 2 sine waves and how they're modulated and how they interact with each other and how they react when it fed back into the filters. What can I say? That's a nerdy geek bit.
I love that. I love that because I think it's also that when it comes to these things being designed, right, they're then handing it over to someone who goes, okay, what can this do?
Sure.
And it's not necessarily the designer
that
popularises it. I think it's the person at the back end, or whatever they call it in business.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if in 20 years AI can create worlds for us to immerse ourselves in, and we spend all day with a headset on, living in a different world, then are you really living in this world, or
what's real and what isn't? Which, of course, is exactly what they said about television when everybody freaked out about the TV. Although, of course, TV did give us advertising, which is probably the worst thing about it. Yeah. Do you teach?
In what sense?
Do you pass on this knowledge? Do you lecture? Do you teach? Do you pass on this knowledge?
I've done a few talks here and there.
Is that something you enjoy?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I've been on a few panels, only a few over the years. It's not like I've tried to associate myself with a university or kind of be a lecturer or anything like that. No. I don't know how relevant what I'm doing is to young people anyway. I'm not sure that they would be interested. Who knows?
I disagree. I think they would.
I mean, all I know is that young people will come up with the best work. You know, it will happen at a really early age. Their brains wouldn't have formed enough to make life decisions.
Yeah.
I don't think it fully forms till about 24, 25. So they won't know anything about that, but they'll come up with some ideas and some art that's just unbelievable.
Well, they're digital natives as well, aren't they? Which I find fascinating, is that they grew up with pressing buttons. And a lot of music's made like that. I guess
so. Yeah, I mean, it amazes me now. Think, what they do and what they can achieve. But then, if I go back, we were making albums when we were like 19, 18.
Incredible. And goodness me, what a career. It's been so lovely to catch up with Richard. I really do hope, genuinely, that his beloved Millwall get promoted to the Premier League. That'll be amazing. You heard Perfect Toys, before that Artificial Obsession, before that 1890. And we're going to finish with the track that Richard mentioned, the equipment used thereupon. Towards the back end of that conversation, the final track on Hauntings, out now, which is called A New Simulation. Billy here, speak to you soon. Thanks for listening and for supporting these wonderful artists. Ta-ta!